Okay, the next part of your notes is going to ask you in radians, what quadrant would this be in? And I still look at my unit circle whenever I figure out the quadrants. So if you have to flip back and forth to the front page of your notes to see that whole unit circle, you can do that. Like I said, I still kind of do that. Make sure that you know, and I think everybody knows, the quadrants. Your first quadrant is going to be here, and then it goes counterclockwise. So quadrant 1, quadrant 2, 3, and 4. And this is talking about your X and Y axis, okay? So if we were to put this unit circle on an XY axis, where would the angle be? Okay. So number 4 wants to know where 5 pi over 3 would be. So number 4, 5 pi over 3. Okay. So look at your unit circle. You see 5 pi over 3 is going to be in this 4th quadrant over here. So this would be in quadrant 4. Okay, number 5, we have 5 pi over 6. 5 pi over 6, it should be on here. It's over here, 150 degrees. Okay, that's in quadrant 2. Okay, number 6, we have pi over 3. That's on our unit circle. It's in quadrant 1. All right, number 7. Now, number 7, we have a negative angle. Remember, negative angles start on your initial side, but they move clockwise instead of counterclockwise. So normally, pi over 6 is in that first quadrant, right? It's 30 degrees. If we want to do negative 30 degrees, it's going to be in this 4th quadrant, okay? Quadrant 4. And the last one, number 8, I'm going to put down here. Number 8, we have negative 2 pi over 3. Okay, so let's find positive 2 pi over 3, see where we're at. And it gets us all the way past that first axis into the 2nd quadrant. If we were to take that same angle but go clockwise, it'll go past that first axis and into the next quadrant, right? And this would be quadrant 3. So that's how you figure out what quadrant that these are in. Okay, so now we're going to talk about coterminal angles. Coterminal angles are two angles that have the same initial and terminal sides. There are an infinite number of coterminal angles. So let me just show you. So they have an angle on your notes that looks like this, right? Let's just say it's 30 degrees. That looks close to 30. Okay, if I want to find a coterminal angle, I'm still going to start out with the same initial side. Okay, I'm going to keep going around until I hit that terminal side again. Because they're going to have the same initial and terminal sides, right? So I'm going to do 360 degrees plus whatever that angle is. So 360 degrees plus 30 degrees. My coterminal angle would be 390 degrees. That would be just one of them. Another one would be if I went, if you still have to start out with the same initial side, right? So I'm going to start out here. I'm going to go around once, go around twice, and then 30 degrees to have the same terminal side. So this could happen an infinite number of times depending on how many revolutions you go, right? So my other terminal angle would be if I add 360 more degrees, right? So it would be 750. Okay, so you have an infinite number of coterminal angles. And the way to figure out what your coterminal angles are is if you add or subtract 360 degrees. Okay, so I would write that on your notes somewhere. You add or subtract 360 degrees. Now, if we're talking about radians, it would be adding or subtracting 2 pi. Okay, 360 degrees is the same thing as 2 pi. So let's look at the next one. The next one goes to, let's see, we have our initial side, and we're going to go to, let's see, that angle. I thought that angle looked like 30 degrees past 180, so I said it was 210. Okay, let's just say it's 210 degrees. A coterminal angle could also be if you go clockwise. So a positive angle is counterclockwise, right? A coterminal angle could be if you go the opposite direction. So I'm still starting out with my initial side here, but I'm going this way. And I'm still getting that terminal side, right? That could be a coterminal angle. So the way to figure out what that angle would be would to take my angle measurement and subtract 360 degrees. Okay, you're always going to add or subtract 360 degrees. So if I do that, I get negative 150 degrees. That would be a coterminal angle. Okay, so you can go clockwise, you can go counterclockwise, you can go one time around, you can go 20 times around. So you'll have infinite number of coterminal angles. Okay. The next part of your notes, we just talked about it. For a positive angle, you want to add 360 degrees or 2 pi. So add 360 degrees or 2 pi. For a negative angle, you want to subtract 360 degrees or 2 pi. Okay, to find both clockwise and counterclockwise coterminal angles, you're going to add and subtract 360 degrees or 2 pi. Okay, we've already kind of talked about it. Alright, so then we have some examples. We're going to find the coterminal angle for each of the following. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll do one from each section, since we've already talked about if it's radians, you add or subtract 2 pi instead of 360. So I'll do one of each section, then I want you to try it, and then we'll check. Okay, we'll do it that way. So let's look at number 3. Number 3, all we're going to do is find one coterminal angle. And all of you guys could end up with a different answer and still be right, since there's an infinite number of them, right? So what I usually do is add 360 degrees to find my coterminal angle. But if you want to subtract 360, you can do that too, because it doesn't specify. Sometimes it'll specify that it wants one positive and one negative. So then you have to make sure that you either add or subtract. But if it doesn't specify, you can do whatever you want. So 120 plus 360 gives me 480 degrees. So on that first section, keep it in degree measurements. So either add or subtract 360, but you're only going to find one coterminal angle for 4 and 5. Now, on the next section, 6 through 11, it wants you to find 2 coterminal angles. And we're in radians. Okay, so what I want you to do is add and subtract. That way you get 2 different ones. So on number 6, I'm going to take pi over 6. And I'm going to add 2 pi to get one angle. and then I'm going to subtract 2 pi to get another coterminal angle. And let's leave our answers in terms of pi. So whenever you put this in your calculator, don't worry about the pi, just do 1/6 plus 2. Okay, so 1/6 plus 2 will come out with 13/6. That would be a coterminal angle. Okay, if I subtract 2 pi, I'll end up with -11 pi/6. Okay, so go ahead and do the rest of the problems on these notes and then we'll check. Alright, so we'll go ahead and check. Like I said, everybody could get a different answer, honestly. On number 4, I went ahead and subtracted 360. So 200 minus 360 gave me -160 degrees. That would be coterminal. If you added 360 degrees, you would get 560 degrees. That could be an answer. Okay, and there's a million different other ones. On number 5, I went ahead and added 360 degrees and got 225. If you skip down to the bottom, number 9, if you added 2 pi, you got 26 pi/9. When I subtracted 2 pi, I got -10 pi/9. Number 10, I got 4/3 pi and -8/3 pi. And 11, 5/3 pi and -7/3 pi. So you're going to find some coterminal angles on your worksheet today, and I'm pretty sure it specifies that it wants one positive, one negative. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah, well, I mean, it wants a clockwise direction and a counterclockwise direction. So make sure your answers have one that is clockwise, which is negative, and counterclockwise, which is positive. Okay? All right, and you'll have a good day. If y'all have any questions, feel free to email me. All right.